I am so pleased today because I am being joined by author Amy Timberlake, who is going to be talking to me about her latest book, Skunk and Badger. And Amy, I got lots of questions for you, so let's just get right down into it. How did you come to write this book?
I was working on another book and I got stuck, and basically I started reading. I was stuck, but I was doing research for that book. So I started reading bear fairy tales, bear mythology, and I mean like the grizzly bear kind of thing, and Paddington bear stories and Winnie the Pooh bear stories. And that was for research for this book. And as I was writing the Winnie the Pooh, as I was reading the Winnie the Pooh stories, I started thinking about what would it be like if I tried to write a story like Winnie the Pooh. I didn't want to write Winnie the Pooh. I just wanted to write a story in the style of Winnie the Pooh, that's episodic. It was really crafted well. So I started thinking about that, how those stories, those Winnie the Pooh stories felt, and basically sort of gave myself a writing challenge because I was stuck. And I started writing Skunk and Badger, basically. So there you have it, which isn't really like Winnie the Pooh. It's kind of more like Wallace and Gromit meets Winnie the Pooh meets The Odd Couple. So something like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's funny because this year I have been seeing a lot of Winnie the Pooh-esque books, but your book, though I would categorize it as a bedtime book, I would not necessarily say it has the same tone as a Winnie the Pooh. It's actually got a lot more in common with something like Wind in the Willows or something like that.
Okay.
When you were writing it, so who did you envision the audience to be?
I was actually envisioning a wide audience. So I was thinking, I want a book that a parent will read to a child, and the parent will have a very good time. The child will also have a good time. And I thought, bonus, I want the kids to be able to read it for themselves too. So I knew that I was putting, like, for instance, there are some bigger words in this book, but the way that I learned how to read and enjoy stories, there were always bigger words in my books that I loved. And I learned them by context. I learned them because my dad started laughing when he read them. And then I would say, "Oh, Dad, what does that mean? And why are you laughing? Why is that funny?" I mean, I loved laughing with my dad. So I put jokes in and all of that stuff. So I was thinking, I want the audience to be as wide as possible, because I felt like that was a thing that happens in A.A. Milne's Winnie the Pooh. The audience for those books is for a big range of people. I mean, I guess like all of those kind of stories that we love, like Charlotte's Web, and, they're for a wide range of people.
Yeah, and I find that with the best books that I read with my kids sometimes is I can read my kid when he's 5, Wizard of Oz, and then literally 2 years later, he has no memory of Wizard of Oz, and then I can read it again to him, and it's a brand new book. It's amazing. So that was a big shock when I became a parent. I was like, fun fact, when you read to a small child, they don't retain every word in their brain and may not even remember you read that book. So yeah, it's true. Now, of course, your book is illustrated by the great and powerful John Klassen.
Yes.
Do you like the pictures, and how did he come to work on the book?
All right. Well, first of all, let's just give you a little taste of it. Okay. So here's the dust jacket, right? It's gorgeous. But then watch this. You take the dust jacket off.
I didn't know that.
There it goes. And then you have on the boards of the book, there's absolutely no words on this. And if you set the book upright, you get the entire brownstone that Badger and Skunk live in. And, basically, it's a story of an unexpected roommate. And this is Skunk coming into Badger's brownstone, who's a very important rock scientist. And let's see, he does important rock work all the time. And as you can see, there's a full color frontispiece in here. And that is Badger sitting at his rock table. And then inside, there's also just John and Algonquin just made the most beautiful book. All right, so this is Skunk in his moon room. He basically takes over a room in the, you should read to that page, you should understand that, but you know, Skunk is very exuberant. Exuberant? Oh, that's a word that's hard for me to say. And then this is another full color thing of Badger playing his ukulele. So, and it's gorgeous. John's art is utterly gorgeous. It's perfect. You can't, I mean, I don't know. I just can't imagine an author being unhappy with this book. Like, why would you be unhappy with this? I don't understand.
It's different than anything he's done before. I've never seen him do this kind of style before. So it's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what ended up happening was I sent 2 chapters to my agent, Steve Mock at Writer's House. And then eventually he wanted the whole book. So I sent the whole book to him, and he also represents John. And he said, what do you think about John seeing your manuscript? And I thought, I mean, I did look at some of John's art online just to sort of see, you know, but I already knew, of course, that I loved his art. So it wasn't like a big surprise when I saw his art. And I just said, well, yeah, like, let's show him. And I totally thought that, you know, he'd probably say no, because he has other projects that he does his own books, he's, you know, and so, but 2 weeks later, I think it was about 2 weeks later, he came back and he said, I'd like to illustrate it, and I'd like to illustrate it in the style that, you know, that basically he does in this book. And, you know, I thought that sounded great. So yeah, it's totally exciting. And it's, yeah, I have absolutely no complaints at all.
Good. I couldn't imagine that you would. I didn't think this was going to turn into you like just tearing into John Klassen, like, how dare he? Like, no. That would have been a surprise, but that didn't actually happen.
And also, he's just such a nice guy. So who would do that?
I know. The most evil person in the world would do that. Yes. Which is not you. So I listened to the audiobook. It's read by Michael Boatman. It is the best audiobook. I'm not gonna say, I don't know, it's just the best. I'm just gonna leave it right there. The best audiobook. There you go. That makes it great. Very simple. It's really good. So I've got one last question for you. It is a very important question. What is the nature of your relationship to chickens? Because chickens, this book makes you seem very pro chicken, and I just want to get your full chicken opinion.
Oh, I love chickens. I didn't know that I love chickens. Here's the secret story about why there are chickens in this book. Skunk brings in a red suitcase. Badger thinks he's going to sell him something out of the red suitcase. But Skunk, anyway, so Badger asks him, what's in your suitcase? Now, so when I wrote this scene, he opens it up, and you always put 3 things, like the number 3 is just magic when you're writing. So I said, he's going to have 3 things: pajamas, a storybook, and a chicken whistle. I knew it was pajamas. I knew about the storybook. I had no idea about the chicken whistle. It just was funny. I don't know why it was funny. It popped out of my head. And then when you say chicken whistle, you have 2 things you're going to have in your story: chickens, and a lot of weird chickens for me. I'm going to do research. So, you know, you're going to have lots of weird chickens. And then there's going to be a whistle that gets blown. So there you go. And if anybody wants to have a fun Google search, Transylvania naked neck chickens. Look it up. I'm telling you, they are the chicken that in my breed book, she said, if you have Transylvania naked neck chickens, all your neighbors are going to think your chickens are sick. So you do not want it. They're completely healthy. They just look like that. So there you go. Transylvania naked neck chickens. Go look.
That's something people can take home with them. And I believe it was Chekhov who said that if there's a chicken whistle in the first chapter of a book, there's going to be chickens in the book. So yeah.
Hey, thank you.
Yes, it's classic. Well, Amy Timberlake, I could talk to you all day long. Thank you so much. And once again, your book, for people who didn't catch it before, is Skunk and Badger, and it is out everywhere right now. Thank you so much.